Y'all, apparently everybody and their grandmama is playing pickleball in Vegas. It's so popular, the city of Las Vegas just approved a $12 million grant to add 30 courts throughout town. But not everyone's happy about it. Today on CityCast Las Vegas, lead producer Sonia Cho Swanson heads outside to try her hand at the game with Southern Nevada pickleball ambassador Patty Chess, aka Pickleball Patty. They talk about why some folks don't want a pickleball complex in their neighborhood, how the sport was designed for all ages, and how the game got its name. It's Tuesday, May 23rd. I'm Vogue Robinson, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about.
So tell me how you got into pickleball 10 years ago. Were you living in Las Vegas?
Yes, I was living in Las Vegas, and here I am at Durango Hills Park. I was with one of my tennis friends who's also a golfer, and there's golf here, and we heard this bang, bang, bang. So we went over to the courts to see what it is, and we go, oh, we got to try this. So her and I got together, and we tried pickleball. The first day I played, I got hooked. So I was a 4-0 tennis player. I was big into tennis, had tennis jewelry. Now, as you see, I have a pickleball necklace. And I ended up dropping tennis, not because I didn't love tennis, but because it is so much easier to have access to. So any day I feel like playing pickleball, I can just show up at a court and have people to play, because there's a whole paddle system involved and people go in and out and rotate partners. Most places actually have paddle holders that hold paddles in a row, so that 4 paddles come in. When the court comes open, the next 4 paddles come in, and you actually rotate in and out. So you might be putting your paddle by a complete stranger. And so when you get out on the court, hi, my name's Patty. I'm from Las Vegas, and I know how to play this game. Basically, if I mess up, sorry. But you actually play with different people.
What makes it more accessible than tennis?
Tennis, you have to organize a game of 4 people. If I just showed up at a tennis court, there may or may not be people there. And if there are people playing, they might already have a scheduled game. It's not that often that tennis has just pickup games. It's just not the nature of tennis.
So you've been involved in pickleball here in Vegas for 10 years. Tell me about the growth you've seen in the pickleball scene.
A perfect example, it used to be when these courts were built, and there's 7 courts here at Durango Hills, people would be walking their dog and we would be trying to get players. We'd go, come on, try pickleball, here's a paddle. We were encouraging. Now we tease when people come in to play. We go, I'm sorry, we're full, or we pretend there's a charge because it's gotten so busy. So right now, today at Durango Hills, there were about 30 paddles waiting to play with 7 courts filled. So 7 courts is 28 players on the courts, and there was more than that waiting to play. So it's just the demand is high. And today, it's not even the kids and families out here playing, it's just adults playing. And so when kids and family want to play, it's even higher.
So it sounds like there's a real demand for pickleball. Do you see pickleball facilities growing across the valley?
Yes, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the nation. So across the valley, it continues to grow. Yesterday, I did a free workshop at the YMCA, me and a couple of other ambassadors, and we had 28 people who were there. So that's 28 new players in one day. So it just continues to grow on a daily basis. And a lot of people just don't know how to get into pickleball. So like on the Southern Nevada pickleball site, every day I want to learn. How do I learn? I don't have a paddle. How do I make that happen?
So why can't pickleball players just use the existing tennis courts?
So there are some tennis courts that also have pickleball lines. I know that's true at Bob Baskin at Lone Mountain Park. They have 2 courts. They have pickleball lines. They just have to lower the net. It's hard because you chase the pickleball way further, but people do use that. So that is an option. And one good thing about the city, they really are trying to do multi-purpose courts, volleyball courts, badminton courts are the same size as pickleball courts. So community centers are trying to make that happen.
I've heard of tension between tennis players and pickleball players in other cities. Do you see that ever here in Vegas too?
You know what? The answer is yes. And the fear of tennis players are afraid that they'll lose their tennis courts and don't feel there's enough tennis courts. So right now at Sunset Park, they built a beautiful 24-court pickleball facility, and they're building tennis facility right now. And the tennis facility is going, we don't want pickleball lines on that. You guys have 24 courts. So they're really trying to balance that. The city and the county are trying to listen to what people want, so I'm a little bit prejudiced, but as a tennis player, I still want tennis to be taken care of as well. There's just limited funds, unfortunately, so they can't do it all.
Now, you remember what was going on over at Wayne Bunker Park, where there was this controversy over new pickleball courts coming in. I know that some of the neighbors were really opposed to it, and I think on the grounds of noise. What's your response to that?
That's been an issue throughout the nation. When courts are built, they really do try to build away from houses. So the particular Wayne Bunker, there are about 5 houses that are pretty close proximity to where the plan with the courts. So there are ways of building barriers, plants. There's ways of moving maybe the courts where they do some indoor courts so there'll be less noise for those neighbors. So really we care about those neighbors. And the neighbors even said they like pickleball, they just don't want the noise in their backyard. So I'm really hoping that what they're going to be able to do is even design less courts to meet their needs, but I'm hoping some are indoor because that's a high need in our valley, is to get some more indoor or shade structure because we are limited in the summertime on hours we're able to play. We had somebody get heat stroke yesterday out on these courts.
Yeah, I can imagine the indoor facilities would make a lot of sense both for noise and the heat. It seems to me that people are also concerned about their home values going down if a pickleball court opens up right next to them.
And so it's been my experience and knowledge of things like when we build 55 plus communities, they are wanting pickleball courts. So Trilogy that just built homes out at Sunstone, which is right at the Kyle Canyon turnoff, they have 8 pickleball courts, and people specifically are moving there for pickleball. So it actually sells more than not. Arizona, they have major pickleball complexes they are building near homes in all the 55 plus communities because that's what's selling homes. So I don't have any research information on it, but I can tell you people like myself, us senior citizens, are wanting pickleball near us.
And just about that noise, I mean, you were both a tennis player and a pickleball player. I mean, pickleball is noisier, right? Can you explain to people who maybe aren't familiar with pickleball why that is?
Hitting the paddle in a wiffle ball makes a louder noise, but it's funny you should say that. The people who live, there's people right by Lone Mountain Park who have their houses, and one of the ladies says, it isn't the pickleball noise, it's the noise of the crowd when they cheer, when they make a great shot. It's the people that get noisy because it's such a social sport that people just tend to be louder. Tennis is a quiet game, golf is a quiet game. You get the golf clap. In pickleball, people are just more outgoing. It brings that out in people. It's funny how that is.
Why do you think that is?
It is so social. I had told you when we were walking in that I want to write this book, that pickleball saved my life, because it really does things to people that makes community. So in other words, if I've had a tragedy in my life, but I'm playing pickleball, you're developing a friendship where you get a huge support. So that is why a lot of people enjoy it. It isn't just playing. They're sitting, waiting for games, getting to know the other players, really well, and you share, personal things, and you end bonding. It's just an amazing sport where most sports aren't like that.
Do you worry that as pickleball becomes more mainstream and less niche, that you might lose some of that kind of tight community feeling?
I've been doing it 10 years. I haven't seen that. I think that it is when people first start and they come in and they go, like yourself said, I want to learn pickleball. But you saw when you came in, people were pretty nice. But it's like, will they be nice to let you in and help give you tips and really get you? Because when you go to somewhere that's tight knit, it's like, how do you get into that group? And sometimes it does take a little bit of time, but it just is a natural progression as you keep coming back and back. People start warming up to each other, get to know you. Because I've gone, like, what's fun is you can go to any public place throughout the nation and play pickleball.
As I walked in, one of the things that struck me is just seeing the range of ages. I mean, over here on our right, we've got some really young people, and then over there on the courts behind us, we've got some senior citizens. I'm just seeing a range of ages, even playing together on the same court with each other. What is it about the way that pickleball was created or is set up, about the actual rules of the sport itself, that make it so easy for all ages to play?
Pickleball was made for a family. So it started in Washington, named after a dog. That's how it got its name, Pickle. But what they do, with pickleball, it's such an easy game to learn. People struggle with the scoring at first. You saw the one and I'm a second server and rotate only when you score. There's a couple rules that are a little bit challenging when you first learn it, but actually hitting the ball with a paddle, a little wiffle ball, you can do that. Where tennis or other sports, you really have to practice a long time to be able to keep a rally going. In this game, you can. The other fun thing about this game is an 8-year-old can compete with a 30-year-old because the skill level of making that happen, really, it does not matter age. It hits all ages, multi-generational. Grandma can play with grandkid, can play with daughter, and actually play competitively. It's just no other sport is like that. And hence why the city and the county are so behind it, because they love that they can build a court and it hits all ages. Baseball is for a certain age. Softball really varies in age, but you don't mix it together. Here they can mix it together.
So what do you think a sport like pickleball does for the Valley, for the city of Las Vegas, or does for Southern Nevada, like a community like ours?
Brings communities together. So they're opening up in more northeast, a regional park, and they're having a whole party for that, and pickleball is part of it. So we're going to be there again doing workshops and getting people into the game. So what it does is it's a fun recreational sport, gets kids away from the video games, gets the family together. I have had so many families tell me, we finally have something we all can do together that we enjoy.
Any last thoughts on pickleball that you'd want the people of Las Vegas to hear?
Anytime there's a chance to vote for more courts, do it. We do not have enough courts, and it's a lot of fun. And they can go to Southern Nevada Pickleball and find out how to get in the game, because a lot of people don't know how. They see it, they like it, people watch it, but they don't know how they get in. And it's very easy. We'll get you in.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Before you go, a little news you should know. The U.S. Department of Interior announced yesterday that the lower Colorado River Basin states have finally reached the beginning stages of a 3-year agreement to reduce water use. But the states are only reducing it by about half of what the federal government asked for. Understandably, some are calling this a Band-Aid solution, and others are calling it a bridge to bigger steps, because the real task lies ahead as we ramp up for a permanent agreement that will begin in 2026. Meanwhile, Nevada's first confirmed case of rabies of the year was found in a bat in Clark County. We get about 10 to 20 of these every year, so we just want to encourage everyone to keep your pet's rabies vaccinations up to date. That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. How do you feel about pickleball? Tell us on social media and be sure to tag us. We're at CityCast Vegas. And if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and share it with a friend. Spread the CityCast love. Don't forget to rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Take care.
My dad's actually doing better than me already.
And he's in the court while we're sitting. He went back onto the court.
I know, he did. He's very active. He's game. It's nice.